Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Oh no. Now I'm in the shot.
Right there.
I don't like to be in the shot. That's why I don't know why you people do this.
I'm Kontras. I'm the world's first and longest running video blogger. That's all I got.
Okay, that's good.
But that's me.
Okay. And what year did you start doing your video blog?
I started video blogging in 1999, but the current longest running video blog, The Journey, I started January 2nd, 2000. Yeah, you had to compress it yourself, you had to edit it yourself, you had to upload it, you had to host it, you had to try to make it compatible with Macs and PCs. I mean, before YouTube, it just wasn't feasible, and I think that's why nobody really did it. You know?
So was there a way for you to track how many people were actually doing it, even, or you were just throwing it out and
it never occurred to me that I was doing something. There wasn't a name for it, so I didn't wonder who else was doing it because I was just everybody. It was a website. I just considered it a website. I made a website. And my website has video. I knew some other places had video. Somebody later in the year, strangely, would do text in video format, and he called it a VOG, V-O-G, and did that for a couple of years. But he never actually made videos. It was strange. It was just text on a screen. So he was close to when we were trying to figure out who was the first. That was the only person anybody could find. The next video blog that was considered legitimate was 2002. So I had a full almost 3 years before somebody attempted to do it. But even those, nobody did it with any consistency because it was so difficult. Until YouTube came along, I mean, you hit a button, you record yourself, you hit stop, and you're done.
Yeah.
You know, and I still don't do it like that because it just seems boring to me. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this small group of rabid like 400 or 500 listeners that were on my mailing list and would buy my CDs and buy my tapes and so forth. And I just, I would always keep them up to date with what was going on the radio. So I thought, well, I'll just keep them up to date on what's going on as I try to make it in LA.
So it was more for a convenient thing instead of keeping everyone up to date. It was just a hub where everybody can go to, and then if they're interested in finding out where you're at on your trip.
In a sense, it's what Facebook is. That was, it was before Facebook. We didn't. I mean, we use Facebook now just to kind of keep in touch without having to actually call everybody and say, hey, this happened. I got a job today. Well, now instead of doing that, I mean, you tell your very close friends, but most people just post it on Facebook, 30 people like it, and say, wait, congratulations, you got a new job. That was kind of what it was, because I had a lot of people that, were interested. Obviously, my parents and close people I would call and so forth. But for the most part, I would just keep a running journal of what was going on, and that's how people kept up. Just easier. Little did I realize that everybody would end up doing that eventually when something like Facebook came along that made it easy to collect all your thoughts and your videos and your pictures.
So, so you mentioned, you documented both your highs and your lows. When you were starting to get these lows, did you ever get to a point where you go, okay, I'm just not gonna expose my...
Yeah, well, the first time I ever had to lock an entry, like I didn't know what to do. I had a manager who was just not a good manager. There was a lot of problems, and I had been so honest with everything that was happening, it came a point where I couldn't be honest because she would read it, so you're stuck. And so for the very first time I had to lock stuff, which actually really made me depressed because I didn't realize it, but being open is what helped me get through stuff. So now I'm locking all this stuff that people can't read, so they don't really know what's going on, and I felt really isolated. There's something about sharing everything, everybody's kind of with you. The second you have to keep secrets or lock things, you're alone. And so when that happened, I got really depressed, and then of course I lost the manager and all the things that were in the bag. This is early '02, kind of went away, and everything in those first 2 years were just worthless. That's when it got really, really, really depressing. And I did eventually unlock all that stuff so people do know the story, and I changed her name and so forth, but it was more not being able to share the stuff as opposed to showing that it was a failure. Yeah, the failures frustrating, but I was young. It was not that big of a deal. Not being able to show it was the hardest part. Now, when I got divorced, that was a whole different thing, because that was a failure that I was sad about and embarrassed about, and it included somebody I cared about, you know, my wife, and it was our divorce was very mutual in the sense that she just wanted to go back to Ohio and I didn't, and we loved each other, but it just wasn't a fit, and you just get to a point where you go, okay, one of us is going to be miserable, but you've already introduced her as a character on the site in a sense, right? They've seen you all go out there, they've seen you get married, they've seen, you know, so what do? You can't just say, this character's no longer with. You can't replace it. You can't, like, you know, pull a genie. Yeah, that's when I had to be really open. Hard, very hard. Yeah, the phenomenon that's happening now is remarkable, because when back in 04, 05, there was a vlogging group that wanted me to be a part of them, and their whole intention was to try to get people, as many people as possible, to become video bloggers and make it as easy as possible. And I was kind of a bastard about it, because I thought, why? What? Like, we all want to sit and stare at people talking into their cameras. That's not interesting. I think it should be kind of hard, so there's some talent involved. Boy, I was wrong, because inevitably YouTube comes along and makes it easy for anybody to do it. And the people that become stars, they are good, they do have talent, but it's in a sea of absolute mediocrity. So yeah, so I watch it happening, and I don't know what to say as far as why I didn't jump on it better, other than the fact that my video blogs tend to, they're just chronicling what's happening, which isn't always interesting. I mean, it's real time. It's like a Truman Show. I mean, it's not, there might be cool chapters, but for the most part, you know, unless something really interesting is happening, or I do something really funny. And that's the other thing, is that the definition of video blog is getting a little twisted, which is good, because it's making it popular. But basically, people are making YouTube channels, and they are, it's comedy. You know, they're just doing comedy bits, and they're doing it for a long amount of time, so that's a video blog. Kinda, like, originally you would think video blogs would be autobiographical or some sort of documentation or of your thoughts, etc. But now anybody with a YouTube channel is kind of considered a video blogger. So, yay, that's good for me, since I was the first to do it. However, it isn't exactly the same. You know, my intention when I upload a video is not to get as many hits as possible. It's simply to just tell where my life is at that moment. Every once, maybe like 10 videos a year, I think, you know, some of these are really good, and I try to push them. I did a Newt Gingrich parody, "You're a mean one, Newt Gingrich," you know, got 100,000 views in political, that kind of stuff, because I said, this is good, this is mainstream, outside of my video blog, and I pushed it and got some media attention.
Yeah, so you can, you know how to make that happen.
Absolutely.
You just don't.
It's just that it doesn't, it's time consuming. I do have a life, you know, and I don't make a living at it. I don't have any monetization on my website whatsoever. I just never wanted that to be my drive to do it, because I think at some point that'll run out. And if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, my drive needs to be more therapeutic. It needs to be something that I can't be thinking of money and hits. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to be as honest as I can and to show where I'm at to anybody who actually cares. You know, I would think the video blog would get really big if somewhere else in my life I got famous being a host or something like that. Then they would come back and go, oh my God, look at all of this stuff. I'm interested, I'll go back in, you know. But from just the video blog, it's too depressing, man. It's too, you know, I had a lot of viewers until I got divorced, and they went, ugh, that's great. You know what? I'm gonna not watch this anymore, and because it's depressing, you know. Or like when I had a pilot on Comedy Central, and you know, it was getting made, and everything was great, and then they passed, and everybody went, you know what? That's great, and like all my views went from, you know, like 400 or 500 to 10, 8, because they don't want to see me just sitting there going, oh my God, you know, and I'm not in any mood to try to make them laugh or to be funny, because you know what? It's not fucking funny, you know.
Yeah, no, because I saw your documentary, and
Right.
you know, it's a variation of, you know, funny and not funny and real and music. I mean, you know, you put a lot of your music out there
Right.
too, which, you know, complements what's going on with your life as well. So, you know, has that.
It's really good for a honestly, the journey is really good for making a documentary because everything's all logged. It's got nice little colors, skin. You go, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is, and you can put together a nice story. So
and
in
you've
that
done
sense,
the tough part, which is you've shot everything.
I've shot everything, I've edited everything. It's all, you know, it really does make it for a. I mean, if you thought about the hours and time that documentary actually took, holy shit. I mean, because it's 1,000 entries that were all edited individually and then put together, and then, yeah, it's quite a bit. And all the music and the compositions, and I mean, there's 100 songs in that movie, you know? It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know how, like, when you see biographies of Bruce Willis, and he did theater, he did this, then he got moonlighting and he became Bruce Willis, and you're like, what happened the week that he got the call back? I would love to know what he was thinking and what he was feeling, because clearly it didn't just happen. And so that's what I wanted to show. I was like, okay, I'm going to show exactly what it feels like to go through all these phases, which of course sets you up for huge egg on your faces, because these phases happen all the time. You might have something, you know, like I wrote about this documentary, or I wrote about a pitch I did. Well, that's stupid. It might not work out. You know, you might decide to cut me out of the movie. So I just told everybody I'm going to be in this thing, but that's part of how it feels, is you think you're going to, and then it all crumbles. That's life. So I wanted to show all those character changing things, which means I showed almost everything. And at the beginning, it didn't do much personal. You know, it wasn't until I got divorced that I didn't have a choice. I had to actually share what was happening, because now that was more character defining than playing the comedy store or something with my career.
Now, do you feel like, because you've been doing this for, you know, for a huge portion of your life, that you probably don't even know how to live a week without having to log something. Do you find that you kind of live your life based on the fact that there's an audience watching, or does the camera influence your behavior? Are you the same on camera as you are off camera?
That's hard. I want to say I am, but obviously I'm biased, right?
Well, you could be too. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean
the thing about the journey is you end up showing the pivotal moments, which taken as a collective makes you look incredibly dramatic and incredibly. Whereas in reality, I'm really boring. I'm a homebody. I'm not that exciting. I'm not tap dancing all the time and singing and doing all those things. I'm not that career oriented. Like, if you look at the journey, because it's showing the career stuff, you'd think I must be this crazy, ambitious, I'm not really. My wife can attest that I like being home, I like family. The last thing I want to talk about is me. I swear to you, it's not my happiest thing. I always want to put that aside. I'd rather hear about you, because I'm bored of me. I put it on the website all the time. I just don't want to see it anymore. But the question as to whether or not the life dictates the journey or the journey dictates life, that's a hard one for me to answer, because I've been married and divorced 3 times. So you're going to have to wonder if I'm not drawn to the dramatic, because it's a chapter. I will say that the industry I've chosen is already bipolar and nuts, and I'm just reporting on it. But, you know, do I do things because it'll make a good story? I can't honestly answer that. I don't know. I don't think that I do. I don't mean to do it. But the truth is, with the journey, even bad things become a good story. So I don't feel a fear of failure, you know? I'll jump out of an airplane because it'd be a hell of a way to end the journey. I won't be so concerned about jumping into a relationship, because at least it's a good story. Or if I get divorced, I'm not going to kill myself over it because, well, it made a good song. You know, I've found a way to cheat failure, so I'm not as scared about jumping into things as I would be, you know, if I didn't have an outlet for the failure. You know, because I don't have to live with it. I get to share it, you know. There's a lesson in there, you know. There's a big lesson.